Alrighty. Greetings and salutations. Merry Christmas to all. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Thursday morning live stream. Happy holidays to all of you. Hopefully today I can be the fantasy football Santa Claus, and hopefully I am bringing gifts in the form of some great plays going into today's games. Hope you guys are doing well on this wonderful Christmas day. Again, over the course of the next 2 hours, we're talking all things fantasy football, and very similar to a Sunday morning live stream, we have rankings displayed on the right side of the screen, as you can all see. Of course, a lot of these overall questions and, of course, potential answers can be found from the rankings on screen in regards to my top 36 running backs, my top 36 wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. Of course, over the course of this week, we have not found time to do so, but I will go into further discussion regarding those two positions tomorrow. But additionally, on top of it, when we talk about them today, again, these are the pre-rankings as for Thursday. And then, of course, we have top 12 kickers and defenses to potentially set ourselves up for success. All in all, again, this was a little bit of a later start to our live streams that I like to conduct in the morning, primarily because of the festivities of last night, Christmas Eve. I just didn't have enough time to continue to complete my entire overall rankings. So I spent majority of this morning preparing these and therefore had to start 1 hour later than I would have liked to. But nonetheless, we have 3 games today. We have 2 games on Saturday. We have an incredible slate of games on Sunday and a banger of a Monday night matchup. So without further ado, with 4 days upcoming of football ahead, let's start answering questions. Again, for those of you guys who are members of the Patreon, the rankings for half and full PPR at all positions, including flex, have been posted. Other than that, hopefully the rankings on screen can help you guys set your lineups. Otherwise, I'll hopefully be able to answer your question, but we'll begin with super chat questions that claim priority as they, of course, continue to help support the channel. Thank you very much. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? The first couple questions of the day begin with Avram. Avram, hope you're doing well, brother. Says pick 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, and 2 flex in a full PPR. We have Burrow and May. As of this moment, I will go in the direction of Joe Burrow there. I think both of them are fantastic options. I've gone back and forth on it over the course of the last 24 hours or so, but I'll take Burrow in that circumstance. Then your next position, of course, running back, you have Etienne, Javonte Williams, Henry, Kyren, Jacob, Stevenson, Harvey. Brother, you've got so many incredible options, but of the group, I do believe that Travis Etienne against Indy and RJ Harvey against the Kansas City Chiefs are the 2 most primary plays. Now, you do have Emmanuel Wilson, you also have Mike Evans in a full PPR, but in this circumstance, I would pair up Etienne and Harvey alongside of most likely Kyren Williams and Derrick Henry this week as your 2 flex options. So I'm playing all 4 running backs, additionally stacking it with Joe Burrow, and hoping that they can lead us to the promised land of capturing the championship. Thank you. Tilted Hippo sends in a question. Says, questions in the chat. Merry Christmas. Going for back-to-back champs. Congratulations, brother, getting this far, but job's not finished. Let's get it done here. Says, start Aubrey, right? For sure. Yeah, absolutely. Look, Brandon Aubrey in a game that is expected to be one of the highest scoring of the week should be a great play. Obviously, he has himself up and down performances, but in the expectation of them scoring a pretty high clip of points, taking on the Commanders' defense, I would like to assume that he's going to be a great play. It says not the Rams kicker. I do have Mevis or Mevis, whatever the heck you want to pronounce it as, ranked relatively high considering the volume of points that he's been contributing of late, but I wouldn't go as far as to play him over Brandon Aubrey. Again, as of right now, Brandon Aubrey is my number 3 kicker this week. Mevis is my number 8. So again, they're both fantastic options, but I would prefer to continue on with Aubrey there. As for your next question, it says also start 2 of these receivers. We have Parker Washington, we have Marvin Harrison Jr., Troy Franklin, Quentin Johnston, Josh Downs, A.D. Mitchell, and Tucker. Of those available options, I think it depends on scoring format. As of right now, I would probably in a half PPR lean towards Troy Franklin and Marvin Harrison. If we're talking about a full PPR, I could convince myself to play someone of the caliber of like Troy Franklin alongside of Josh Downs there. Just depends on format. You did mention half PPR. At that point, based on my current structured rankings, Franklin and Marvin Harrison will be the 1-2 combo. The next best option in my mind would be Parker Washington there. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to a question from Michael Smith. Michael, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it. Says, would you start Brock Purdy over Trevor Lawrence? I wouldn't. I would play Trevor Lawrence, considering, again, there is still the unknown nature of whether or not George Kittle and additionally Ricky Pearsall, whether or not they're going to be active this week. I think that does potentially negatively impact Brock Purdy in their absence in comparison to Trevor Lawrence, who of course has been on an absolute tear. The secondary of the Indianapolis Colts is in shambles, so I would continue with the hot hand of Trevor Lawrence. Says I have Kittle, but if he's out, then I'd play Brenton Strange. Also, okay, then yeah, at that point, I think regardless of which way I'm going about it, whether Kittle is active or not, Trevor Lawrence is my QB. If Kittle's active, he's in my lineup. Otherwise, you'll stack Trevor Lawrence with Strange there. It says also flex Kenneth Gainwell, Ladd McConkey, Wanda Robinson, or Michael Carter. Of those available options, I would flex in a full PPR Kenneth Gainwell. He's just been far too vital. And of course, too much of an auto start based on his contributions of late, and now has an incredible matchup with no DK Metcalf out there. I would anticipate for the Pittsburgh Steelers to heavily lean upon the run game as for this week. Thank you, Michael. Ted H sends in a question, says, Merry Christmas, Andrew. Merry Christmas to you and all. For those of you who are joining us on this wonderful Thursday morning, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you all. Thank you very much, Ted. Says, I need a wide receiver and I need to flex in a full PPR. We have Mike Evans, RJ Harvey, Ramondre Stevenson, Michael Wilson, Cortland Sutton. If we're looking at the entire group as a bunch, I mean, wide receiver and flex in a full PPR, the flex, in my opinion, has to most likely be RJ Harvey here. Again, I think against the Kansas City Chiefs, it's a must. And then alongside of him, I'm going to pair it up with Cortland Sutton. So I'm going double, Denver Broncos in this case. But again, I would anticipate this game to be an absolutely one-sided affair in which both Harvey and Sutton can very easily find the end zone, not only once, but maybe even twice if everything strikes in the right direction. As for your next question, Taysom Hill or Colston Loveland in a full PPR. Let me see where I have. I think I have Colston Loveland higher in a full PPR. Let me confirm that. No, I don't. So as of right now, I have Colston Loveland still sitting as my number 12 compared to Taysom in a full PPR as my number 11. The only thing that would ever make me go in the direction of Loveland there is if for a second consecutive week here, Luther Burden and additionally Rome Odunze are out again. At that point, I'd be willing to roll with Loveland this week. In the event in which Luther Burden at very minimum is returning, I would take Taysom Hill. Is it getting too cute? Perhaps it is. We got maybe a little bit too cute last week playing Loveland and Colby. But ultimately, I mean, those matchups were primed, and of course, the opportunity share should have been primed. So in the case of Taysom Hill, as the leading rusher of their offense and also getting receiving utilization and also airing it out, I feel like he is the play between the two, assuming any of those injured receivers from the Bears return. All right, let's see here. Joel sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says, hey, thanks for a great season and Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Says, I'm trying to figure out who to flex in a full PPR. Pick two between Olave, Bucky, Tracy, BTJ, McConkey, and Christian Watson. Well, Olave is the must. I mean, we already know that. Regardless of which way we break it down, Olave is the must start out of the group. Now, in a full PPR, if I'm looking at Bucky Irving, Tyrone Tracy, I mean, I don't love these options. Let me see where I have Brian Thomas Jr. compared to the field. So, as it stands, genuinely, I don't feel the most comfortable with any of these options, but I would genuinely play BTJ as my number 2 option there, outside of Olave. Bucky Irving, again, 3 consecutive games of Sean Tucker stealing a goal line touchdown. Again, Tracy, he does have an advantageous matchup, but that offense looks like it's in a little bit of a turmoil position. Maybe they'll bounce back. McConkey, again, doesn't get enough opportunity. And Christian Watson, we don't even know what Jordan Love's status is this week. So for now, I'm leaning towards Olave and BTJ as my 1-2 option there. Thank you. Then we move on to Random Challenger, who sends in a question. It says, in a full PPR, if Hendo clears protocol, who should occupy my RB2 slot, Kenneth Walker or Michael Carter? In the event in which Travion Henderson clears protocol within a week, which would be quite surprising, I would then play Kenneth Walker as your RB2 in that circumstance. It says also Loveland, Gesicki, or Tongs if Kittle is out. In the event in which Kittle is out, I would play Jake Tongs as for this week. Thank you. Otherwise, if Kittle is in and you have Kittle, obviously full go. Thank you. James Grover, 9260. James, thank you very much. Says, I lost Bowers. I need help, boss. In a PPR, Taysom Hill against the Tennessee Titans, who's the number 1 against the run in the last 4 weeks. Or Waller/Barner. yeah, I would genuinely play Taysom Hill because in regards to the potential of that offense, even if they're okay, so looking at the most recent production in terms of RBs versus the Tennessee Titans, like I understand that, I mean, obviously matchup has to do with it, but this most recent week with no Mahomes, like there wasn't really the most potential for upside. Christian McCaffrey and James Robinson combined for 94 and a touchdown. Judkins and, of course, Samson weren't expected to do much, and they didn't. And then, of course, you have Etienne, who kind of disappeared in that game. So over the course of the last 4 weeks, yes, they've played well. Jeffrey Simmons, obviously, is an absolute monster in the front of that defense. But I'd still feel very potentially confident in Taysom Hill's overall workload, considering the routes that he's running of late and the contributions that he'll get, within the running game. If they get near the goal line, you would assume it's a Taysom Hill run. So I think there's just too much value there comparatively to Waller and Barner. Barner's a little bit of a toss-up. Again, very rarely does he find himself getting a lot of workload. And Waller with Ewers didn't do enough this most recent week to find me in a comfortable position to roll him this week against Tampa. As for your next question, says I have Stevenson and Hampton. Do I wait till Sunday for Stevenson or play it safe with Hampton on Saturday? As we get closer, I think by Friday afternoon, we'll get a clear indication as to the status of TreVeyon Henderson, because they'll have to deem him in or out so they can either elevate someone off of the practice squad or not. So that'll be the determining factor. I think we'll know before Saturday's game for the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Texans as to whether or not we will have Stevenson or Henderson as the RB1 for the Patriots. So by Friday afternoon, you should be aware of that, and we'll be at a full systems go as to deciding which direction we roll in. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, James. Trevor Melville sends in a question, says, happy holidays. In the chip, Goff or Bo Nix in a full PPR? I'm going to go in the direction of Bo Nix there. Again, I do anticipate this game in which the Kansas City Chiefs have shut down just about everyone. Their best players out for the season. There's no Rashee Rice. There's no Tyquan Thornton. There's no Trent McDuffie. I would anticipate for Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos to absolutely open up a can of whoop-ass against them and pretty much do whatever they would like offensively. So Bo Nix, I'm probably anticipating that offense to score maybe 5 touchdowns. Should be a lot of them accompanied through the air from him, if not on the ground. A lot of potential. Thank you. Trevor Melville sends in a follow-up, says, in a full PPR, I'm rolling with Jamar, Cook, Rico, Sutton, Pitts, and Fannin. My last flex spot is between Breece, Ladd, Hunter, Henry. Not sure who to play. Thank you. I think it depends on a couple factors. As of right now, I would lean in the direction of Ladd McConkey. If by the time we get to this upcoming this upcoming Friday, if we get a clear indication as to the potential of the status of Kayshon Boutte and Demario Douglas being absent in the given game, I think that there could be a conversation in which we do roll in the direction of Hunter Henry there. As it currently stands, the separation I have between Ladd McConkey and Hunter Henry within today's projections for a full PPR, I have Ladd only 5 spots ahead of Hunter Henry. Ladd is my number 54, and Hunter Henry is my number 59 in a full PPR flex position in terms of projection. So Ladd is ever so slightly ahead of him, so I would lean in that direction for right now, but by the time we get to this upcoming Saturday/Sunday, depending on the status of Boutte and, of course, Demario Douglas and TreVeyon Henderson, that certainly could favor Henry in that circumstance. So we'll keep an eye on it, but for right now, we'll lean towards Ladd. Thank you. All right. DeBore sends in a question. Thank you very much. There's questions in the chat. Thanks, boss. Merry Christmas. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you and yours. Appreciate it. PPR, flex, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, Michael Carter. Yeah, you got to play DJ Moore there, especially if Luther Burden and Rome Odunze are going to miss. In the event in which Luther Burden or Odunze end up being back in the lineup and active, I could justify playing Watson only if Jordan Love is available. Otherwise, I do think that DJ Moore in a full PPR is the answer. Says I have both Swift and McBride already. Also, which defense, Steelers, Lions, or Houston? Yeah, the rankings on screen should hopefully be able to help that out. They're going to pop up on screen to the right side in just a moment. You've obviously got 3 incredible options at defense to roll with this week. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers as my number 3, Detroit as my number 4, and Houston as my number 5. So hopefully, again, you would theoretically go in the direction of playing the Steelers there. Otherwise, I think all 3 are viable options. Just kind of go in the direction of which your heart tells you. But in regards to this week, yeah, I would suggest Steelers, and I would go DJ Moore there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, brother. We had a question from Hardscope. Says in a full PPR pick 3 between Olave, Evans, Higgins, and ETN. Okay, so of these available, Olave and ETN are your must starts. Between Evans and Higgins, I think there is a conversation to be had in which T. Higgins could get more value with the opportunity share increasing, but considering Mike Evans is garnering a 35% target share within his offense, is clear in a way the number one now has an opportunity to take it on Miami, I would have to play Evans in this circumstance, personally. So Olave, Evans, and ETN are my 3. Thank you. Stonebreaker sends it a question. Stone, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, let's see what you have. Says championships, baby, in a full PPR, Josh Allen or Brissett. Got to play Josh Allen. Again, there's no way that I'm not playing the QB1 in fantasy this week for any reason. Again, even further, for those of you guys who are worried about the weather and Josh Allen, when he plays at home and it is a snow-heavy game, Josh Allen is a completely different beast. The guy has like an absolute different gear when it's snowing in Buffalo. When it's snowing, brother is going for 3, 4, maybe even 5 touchdowns within the given game. So, I mean, I have to play him there. Your next question was also star 1 in the flex, Michael Wilson, C-Rod, or JCM if he can't go, Mac Hollins, Brenton Strange, Taysom Hill. As of right now in a full PPR, I would go in the direction of playing Michael Wilson there. Let me see where I have him in comparison to like a Brenton Strange. He's closely ahead of Brenton Strange in a full PPR. As it currently stands, I have him as my number 62 compared to Brenton Strange as my number 64. Taysom Hill is my number 68. So they are all very much so in a similar kind of range, but Michael Wilson would be my top option for this week there, Stonebreaker. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. All right, we had Mr. Marvin Lewis send in a very generous super chat. Marvin Lewis, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate it, my man. Again, you've been around the channel for multiple years. Continue to support as much as you do. Much love. Happy holidays to you and yours. Thank you very much, sir. Questions and comments in the chat, he says. Says, good morning, my good sir. Thank you very much. Says, I wanted to show my appreciation to you for you giving us your time and knowledge. You've helped me get to get to the championship in 3 of the last 4 years. Let's go win our 3rd title. Let's go, brother. I appreciate that. All right. It says, in a standard scoring league, I need to starting lineup between Caleb and Purdy. I have to play Purdy there. I think Caleb is justifiably a start, but I would feel more comfortable leaning in the direction of Purdy. Then if we continue on, you have Genty, Harvey, Wilson, Sampson, and RB. If we need to start 2 of them, clear and away, going to play Genty and Harvey there as your 1-2 combo. At wide receiver, you have London, Evans, Wilson, Sutton. Between those available options, I would prefer to play Sutton and London. If we're looking towards the tight end position, you have Pitts and Juwan Johnson. I'm playing Pitts there. And then if we're looking for 2 flex options, I do believe that the appropriate plays should pretty much consist of playing Sutton. So we're playing Sutton and London at wide receiver. So that would leave Evans available, which I would like to play Evans at one of your flex spots, and then additionally play him alongside of Juwan Johnson as your other flex. So again, top to bottom, Purdy, Genty, Harvey, London, Sutton, Pitts, Evans, Jay Johnson. And then within the defensive position, I would lean in the direction of playing Seattle against Carolina. Thank you very much, Marvin. Appreciate it. Jay Lee sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says pick 2 in a full PPR. All right, let's see. It says Drake London, Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton. Says so first and foremost, between these available options in a full PPR scoring format, I have it currently set as Nico number 1, Cortland number 2, and Drake London number 3, back to back to back. So the odd man out in this circumstance would be Drake London, and Nico Collins and Cortland Sutton are my auto starts. As for your next question, says I'm having trouble with defense. New York Giants versus the Raiders. The New York Giants fighting for the first round pick. They want to lose. So are the Raiders, though. The Raiders and the Giants, whoever lose that game, will technically become the number 1 overall pick of the 2026 NFL draft. So there's a lot on the line. I'm sure both organizations want to lose. And then you also have the Buccaneers and Dallas Cowboys defense available. Of the available options, I have the Buccaneers as my highest ranked against Miami and Quinn Ewers. So I would suggest leaning in the direction of Tampa. I have Tampa at 10, I have the Giants at 11, and I have Dallas at 15. As for this week, Jay Lee, thank you. All right, Dirk sends in a question. Thank you very much. As in a half PPR, I was planning on playing QB Burrow, but my opponent is playing both Lamb and Pickett. Does it make sense to switch to Dak Prescott? I have both. I think technically, yes, it does make sense. to an extent. Obviously, you want to chase the points of who's going to score more between Burrow and Dak Prescott, but considering Dak Prescott or the value of Lamb and Pickett, I'm assuming you meant Pickens. Considering the value of Lamb and Pickens over the course of this week is 100% tied to what Dak Prescott is capable of accomplishing, in order to pretty much just kind of negate any single point Lamb and Pickens are able to accomplish, I think playing Dak Prescott is a perfectly fine choice within the given matchup. I don't mind that. I think, again, negating your opponent in some strategies makes sense, and in this one, I think it does. Even though, again, I do have Burrow ranked ahead, I would probably tell you to play Burrow, but in this circumstance, I have no problem with this strategy at all. JV, what's up, brother? How's it going? So then a half PPR, I need 2 flex. We have Gainwell, Sutton, Hampton, and Woody Marks. I'm looking at half PPR. I would probably lean in the direction of going Hampton and Sutton here. Kamani Vidal is dealing with a bit of a back injury. Cortland Sutton has a fantastic matchup against the Chiefs. I have to play both those options. Says also, should I wait for Kittle? I have Ferguson and a bunch of tight ends on waivers like Johnson, Myers, Hill, and Strange. Yeah, you should wait, because I do believe that all these alternative options in comparison to Ferguson are better. Juwan Johnson, fantastic option. I think Taysom Hill, Brenton Strange, also additionally great options in my top 10 rankings. So in this circumstance, I would like to wait for Kittle. And even in the event in which Kittle doesn't play and maybe your opponent picks these players up to kind of prevent you from utilizing them, Jake Tongs, I think, is a great option as well in the absence of Kittle this week. Thank you. Trey sends in a question. Trey, thank you. Says in a full PPR, pick 3 between Tedero McMillan, DJ Moore, Ladd McConkey, and Kyle Pitts. In a full PPR, my rankings currently are set up as Kyle Pitts number 1, and then we would go in the direction of Tedero McMillan and DJ Moore 2 and 3. Now, in the event in which Luther Burden and Roman Dunze do return this week, at that point, Ladd McConkey would leapfrog DJ Moore. So you would go Pitts, T-Mac, and Ladd. Otherwise, again, if Luther Burden and Rome Dunze are out, I'd rather play DJ Moore over Ladd McConkey there, Trey. Thank you, sir. Zombie sends it a question. Says in a flex, full PPR, 80 Mitchell, Chris Rod, Tyjae Spears, or Jaden Reed. I'd only ever play Jaden Reed if Jordan Love was going to clear the concussion protocol. I would not anticipate him to do so, but again, it's always a possibility. Looking at these availables, let me see where 80 Mitchell stacks up comparatively to the field. So as it stands, if Chris Rodriguez is available for us, I would go in that direction. I think, again, Christian Gonzalez against 80 Mitchell. Do I love the matchup? No. I think there's a little bit of a potential safer floor of production going in the direction of Chris Rod. So if Chris Rodriguez Jr. is available, I know he's currently sitting at questionable with the sickness that he's obviously picked up this week. Obviously, the common cold is going around, but if his illness is going to be a little bit of a problem there, then we pivot to playing 80 Mitchell. Otherwise, I would like to play C-Rod there. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Phil sends in a question, says, let's get the championship in a full PPR. I need a quarterback, 2 running backs, a flex, and 2 wide receivers. Quarterback, we have Brissett or Nix. Between the 2 options like represented on screen, I have Brissett 1 spot below Bo Nix, so I would play Bo Nix in this circumstance. Then moving on to but again, they're both incredible options, top 10 plays in my opinion this week. I don't mind the idea of playing one over the other, but I do prefer Nix. Then we move on to running back. If we need 2 of them, the first 2 names you mentioned are going to be the 1-2 options. I'm going Bijan and I'm going Etienne. They've been far too reliable to us. Then we look towards the wide receiver position. Puka Nacua and JSN. Auto starts. Pretty easy. Then as you look towards the flex position, I mean, I don't really love the alternative options you have at wide receiver, but I would love to play Harvey there as your flex. So Nix, Bijan, Etienne, Harvey, Puka, JSN. Sounds like you're winning the chip, Phil. Congratulations, brother. You put together an incredible squad this season, and hopefully it leads you to the promised land there. Blazin540 says, Merry Christmas to you and your family. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Merry Christmas to all of you. Happy holidays. Appreciate it. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day, and hopefully over the course of today's games and the schedule ahead, it will treat you well. And of course, have a wonderful Christmas to remember with a huge performance from one of your fantasy options this week. Now, in regards to your question, says Merry Christmas and good luck to all of you who advanced. Yes, I'd love to hear that, brother. Flex 1, Javonte Williams, Michael Wilson, Malik Willis. Interesting. Tyler Huntley, if either play, S. Sanders, Josh Johnson, or Parker Washington. So in the event in which I theoretically could play Malik Willis and or Tyler Huntley, again, I may consider playing one of the two over Javonte Williams, but Javonte plays today. And I don't know the status of Malik Willis or Tyler Huntley, or effectively, I don't know the status of Lamar Jackson or Jordan Love to the nth degree as of this moment. So considering I don't have that information, I do believe that I would set myself up for success by playing Javonte Williams. I do believe that is the appropriate play of the field. So that's the direction in which I would go with this week. Javonte Williams is my start there in your flex. Thanks, sir. All right, continuing on. All right, the Thuman sends in a question. Says, Andrew, thanks for everything. Justin Jefferson or Reed? Got to play Justin Jefferson. Again, with Malik Willis expected to potentially be the starting quarterback there, it's very difficult for me to trust that. Even with Burden as a potential option, I have to play Justin Jefferson this week, even with Max Brosmer. It's the chip game. Yeah, listen, at this point, I just don't trust these alternative options as much as I would theoretically trust Justin Jefferson in a game plan in which, again, there's no TJ Hawkinson out there. There's no Jordan Mason. You have a third-string quarterback against the number one wide receiver matchup at the position. I would assume Justin Jefferson should be at least, at very minimum, a low-end wide receiver 2 today. Thank you. Jason Sommer sends in a question. Jason, thank you. Says, happy holidays, Andrew. Appreciate that. Says, tight end premium. Okay. Says, I need 2 flex between Omarion Hampton, Jacoby Myers, DeAndre Swift, Josh Downs, Travis Kelce, and Jake Ferguson. Look, I don't love the idea of playing Travis Kelce in any sort of circumstance. When Oluokun is going to be the starting quarterback, it does not seem like I'm going to, get a pretty streamlined opportunity of targets. I could be wrong, but I just don't love the overall exposure that we may see from Travis Kelce. I do think that Jake Ferguson is a solid option, especially as they're taking on Washington and tight ends that has absolutely delivered against them. But even in that circumstance, I genuinely feel most comfortable rolling with Hampton and Myers in this week. Thank you, Jason. Mr. Canucks sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR, can you explain to why you have Marks much higher than Aaron Jones? Thinking of starting Jones with Mason out over Marks coming back from injury. Yeah, I totally understand that. Now, again, I think Woody Marks could have played last week based on the fact that he had a limited participation of practice on Friday. And considering he was at a full participation on Wednesday of this week, that alone was very much so an indicator that last week he could have played, but they just held him out just to ensure that he was healthy. So the overall exposure to opportunity, based on where I have it currently projected, I do have Woody Marks getting more touches this week. Now, again, the more touches you see within a given game, or the more opportunity you're exposed to, the more potential you have to score more fantasy points. So based on my projection, I do have technically Woody Marks expected to see more touches and then evidently expected to have more fantasy points alongside of that. Now, in a normal week, if J.J. McCarthy was at quarterback, Jordan Mason getting the full workload of Aaron Jones getting the full workload of opportunity would be at a far more valuable positioning. But again, now that you have Max Brosmer there, I don't see it being just a cakewalk of an experience. I think this is going to be a tough week here ahead, to where if the script gets ahead of them and Detroit comes out there and absolutely turns them, inside out, which I certainly think is possible considering Detroit's offense is absolutely going to impose their will. If Brosmer can't move the football, they're going to ditch the running game really quickly. And once they do, I think they're going to be in trouble, and so will Aaron Jones. I think there's a possibility in which he gets himself a far lesser opportunity share than we anticipate. Says, and potentially losing some snaps to Chubb and Jordan. Again, I'm not too worried about that circumstance. The way that I see it, again, I do have Woody Marks expected to get a lot more touches within the given game. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Joseph sends in a question. Says, you think I should pick up Trevor Lawrence and bench Jalen Hurts? Technically speaking, yes, I would. Again, with the questions of weather in that game against Buffalo, in Buffalo, whether it is snow or rain, and the heat that Trevor Lawrence has been producing for fantasy purposes, I would genuinely play T-Law over Hurts this week. Thank you, sir. Ibrahim sends in a question. Hope you're doing well, Ibrahim. Says, half PPR, Loveland or Ferguson? Again, like the rankings are demonstrated on screen, I would go in the direction of playing. I believe I have, actually, you know what? That's a full PPR. Yeah, in a half PPR, I currently have Jake Ferguson at 11 and Colston Loveland at number 12. In the event in which, well, again, you're not going to know whether or not Luther Burden or Rome Odunze are available this week. So as of right now, You could end up waiting and seeing whether or not they are. And if they aren't, Loveland would be a greater play than Ferguson. Otherwise, I think as of right now, I'm just, positioning myself to go after Ferguson, pretty much chase the matchup against the Washington Commanders, who over the course of the last 4 weeks here have been an absolute prime positional matchup for tight ends. Thank you. Chris B, the RD, sends in a question. Says in a full PPR, Deebo Samuel or Rico Dowdle, Merry Christmas. Interesting. Let me see where I have Deebo comparatively, and I'll let you know right now. As for the two, I have Rico Dowdle 5 spots ahead of Deebo Samuel. Rico's my number 61 and Deebo's my number 66. They're both in the same tier of player, but as of right now, Rico Dowdle will be my suggestion there, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it, brother. Stay Me sends it a question. Says says full PPR. Says RJ Harvey, Kyron Williams, Kyle Pitts, Harold Fanning. Yeah, I would have to play RJ Harvey there. I will say that there is a discussion as to me wanting to potentially play Fanning and Pitts over Kyron Williams. Like, they're relatively close within the ranking, especially considering Kyle Pitts has kind of been a little bit of a 15-point machine as of late. But I do believe that RJ Harvey and his contributions of late do designate him as the clear and away RB option and flex play between the bunch. Do you have any other questions? You're good to go? All right. Thank you very much, Stay. Appreciate it. Rockout sends it a question. Says 4-point per passing touchdown, Burrow or Dak Prescott or Trevor Lawrence. But also, I've got Jamar Chase, Chase Brown. Not sure if I should hedge my bet and go Dak. So yeah, your primary concern is putting too many eggs in one singular basket. But here's the thing. In the event in which you play Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals absolutely shit the bed, okay, whether or not you play Burrow there, let's say you play Dak, whichever way you go about it, if Jamar Chase and Chase Brown don't show up, it's over, right? So you could theoretically lean in the direction of, hey, you know what? I don't want to have too many eggs in one basket. That's fine. I just feel like if those two don't show up regardless, you're going to be in trouble. So I would just tell you to play who I believe is going to be the most contributing option of the group, which I do believe Burrow to be the case in this circumstance. Otherwise, I do believe, based on my projections as of right now, they're all easily top 5 quarterback plays for this week. Thank you. Okay, my phone just buzzed. Let's see what the new update is. Chris Rodriguez is a surprise inactive today. So I answered a question earlier regarding Chris Rodriguez. He is not available, so pivot accordingly. So technically speaking here, considering he is not available, I'm going to have to go ahead and adjust my rankings. I would pretty much just play Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt exactly where he's at. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust for that as we speak. And then now that I'm also going to update that on screen so that as we go further throughout this live stream, if any questions arise regarding Chris Rodriguez, that will be accounted for. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Let me just go ahead and adjust that right now so that I can have that available for y'all. Okay, so for a half PPR, just going to adjust it accordingly. We'll put Ja'Cory Krosky there at number 29. Okay, so that'll be finished. The running back position has now effectively been updated, which now includes Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt as our number 29 as it is displayed there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. For those of you who are joining us on this wonderful Thursday, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully you guys can have an incredible day ahead with you and yours, your families. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, let's go ahead and let's continue on. We have Hive, who sends in a question, says, full PPR, Stevenson or Michael Carter? It's easy. I'm playing Stevenson. In the event in which we have no Travion Henderson this week, considering he is in the concussion protocol, I am abso-effing-lutely playing Ramondre Stevenson against the Jets. Clear and away. Then moving on to Bo Nix versus Purdy. As of right now, again, it is a little bit of a sketchier situation considering I don't know the status of Kittle or Pearsall. If they both play, I would prefer to play Purdy. In the event in which they're both out, then at that point I would have preferred to play Nix. And I understand that Nix plays today, which makes it a little bit of a sketchy situation. So which way you want to go about it, I do think that they're both fantastic plays, but I would like to try to play Purdy and kind of wait it out. Thank you. Mike Chills says, Watson or Pollard? Gotta play Pollard there. Again, Pollard should have had another consecutive week of 100 yards and a touchdown if it wasn't for the touchdown called back this most recent week on a bogus call. So ultimately, I do believe that between the two, the contributions that we have seen from Pollard, and now an opportunity of taking on the Saints defense. With Watson still in question, regardless whether or not we do have Love out there, I think Pollard is the clear and away option. As for the next play between Taysom Hill and Tyler Warren, I understand Tyler Warren's overall opportunity share was quite convincing this most recent week with 9 targets. But I will say, even in the event in which he does see a similar opportunity share, even in a great matchup or solid matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's still tough to objectively say, yeah, I want to start an Indianapolis Colts receiving option. It's very difficult to still be able to kind of trust outright, blindly, Rivers in this case. So I honestly would position myself to play Taysom there. All right, Orion, the altar, sends in a question. Says Jennings or Diggs? Okay, I mean, clearing away, I have to play Jennings. He's been just far too consistent for me to position myself elsewhere. And then between Pitts and Fanning, I mean, I have to play Pitts over Fanning. Kyle Pitts has been far too consistent, seen far too much opportunity share. And even though Fanning is a fantastic play himself, coming off of a week of 2 touchdowns, I mean, honestly, I have them both within the same tier of tight end, but Pitts would be my preferred between the two, considering I could guarantee he will get himself a greater reception count between the two. Daniel Barnes says that a question says, any good pick'ems today? I mean, I can go ahead and look at the board and see what is speaking to me via Betr. As of right now, again, I haven't really put too much kind of attention towards it, as of course I've been very much so busy with the rankings of late, and of course the holiday that is taking place. But just looking at today's potential game here, I mean, I would love to play RJ Harvey in the circumstance of an anytime touchdown. I love the potential play of if you can find Courtland Sutton at more than 4.5 receptions. I love that play. I think the idea of Jahmyr Gibbs anytime touchdown. What's another play that I can roll with? I think Dak Prescott, if you can get him at more than 1.5 passing touchdowns, give me that as well. Those are all plays that I love. I think there should be a lot of scoring from Dallas, Detroit, and Denver today. So any plays that you put together, if you've got those players going more on their stats, I feel like it's a pretty darn good kind of opportunity for today's slate of games. Thank you very much, Daniel. But those would be the couple off the top of my head, brother. All right, appreciate it. Let me go ahead and let me continue to answer some of these questions that are rolling through. I appreciate y'all being patient with me. We move on to a question from Clip. Clip, thank you very much. Appreciate it. It says, Flex 2 in a full PPR league. I have Hill, Ferguson, Mayer. As of right now, I would play Hill and Ferguson. I do believe that, again, Michael Mayer should be a solid option in the absence of Brock Bowers now going to the injured reserve, but I wouldn't consider him a significant enough option to play him over Hill or Ferguson this week. Then for the flex, Trey Tucker, Samson, Rodriguez, or Corum, pick 2. Corum has to play, and with Rodriguez now going out, I would then position myself to most likely I would probably play Corum and Tucker there in a full PPR. Thank you. Phil sends in a follow-up question, says, second title game. Congratulations, Phil, on getting to his second one. Full PPR. I need 2 running backs and a flex and 2 wide receivers. Cool. Says, I have Lamar at quarterback, so don't expect him to play. We need to find a pivoting option. Let's say, okay, so you have running backs, Chase Brown, Etienne, Irving, Harvey, Corum. That's pretty easy. Chase Brown and Etienne are my RB1 and 2. Wide receivers, you have Collins, Amon-Ra, Burden. I mean, that's easy as well. I mean, I have to play Collins and Amon. Well, yeah, I think Collins and Amon-Ra have to play. So then it becomes a question of, am I playing RJ Harvey or am I playing Jameson Williams in the flex? Which this becomes a legitimate problematic situation because maybe I don't want to split both of my Detroit receivers. I think in your circumstance here, the way that I have it set, I'm going to have to play Harvey as my flex. So Brown, Etienne, and Harvey have to play. So do I feel comfortable playing Collins and Amon-Ra and leaving J-Mo to the bench? No. Honestly, if I was in your position, I wouldn't split my Detroit receivers. I'd play both Amon-Ra and J-Mo there. Thank you, Phil. Cave Clan sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Says, I survived, brother. How are we looking for the trophy? Says, I have Dak Prescott, Bijan Robinson, Omarion Hampton, Nico Collins, George Pickens, Kenneth Gainwell, Jawan Jennings, Kittle/Pitts. On the bench, I have Tedero, McMillan, Purdy, Rico, Michael Wilson, Pittman. Merry Christmas and thank you. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you very much, brother. In a half PPR circumstance, I mean, looking at the roster across the board, it screams to me you're winning the chip. Now, again, if the opponent you're playing against this week has a player that goes for 40 points, I'm sure, again, many people who are probably not here with us today, unfortunately, because they took on Kyle Pitts in week 15 and Puka Nacua in week 16, if you face a team that goes for a 40-point game, then you're in trouble. Otherwise, brother, you've got a stacked roster, and I think you're in a perfect position for this week. Thank you, Cave. Appreciate it, my man. Daniel Hollenberger sends in a question. Daniel, thank you. Says, in a full PPR, Tedero, McMillan, or Hampton? Let me check where I have Hampton comparatively, and I'll let you know right now. So, as it stands, I have Omarion Hampton ahead of Tedero, McMillan, so I would play Hampton there. Thank you, sir. Phil sends in a follow-up, says, Bowers gone, pick up Mayer, Kincaid, happy holidays. Kincaid did not practice again. He's dealing with an injury. I would have to play Michael Mayer there, as he is ranked in my top 16 tight end rankings compared to Kincaid, who, again, is still questionable and up in the air. Josh Shepard says, no love for Dylan Sampson. I've kind of gone back and forth on it. I still don't know whether or not he is going to play. So I have a very difficult time, just outright saying, oh yeah, we have to, get him into the mix or even have him in the top 16 rankings, because in the event in which he's not able to clear, I understand that he practiced at a limited capacity yesterday, but if he's not able to clear, or additionally on top of it, when you're taking on Pittsburgh, if they're not able to run the ball, we're going to be in trouble. Just imagine, Jahmyr Gibbs ran the ball 7 times for 2 yards last week. What is Dylan Sampson going to do? He's going to have to make all of his production within the receiving game, which at that point does not make me, much more confident in him in comparison to the alternative. So I did move him down effectively since Tuesday. Thank you. Chris Montoya sends in a question. Chris, thank you. Says, happy holidays to you and your family. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you as well and your family. Says, thanks for helping me get into another championship this year. It says, in a final full PPR, pick 2 between Scary Terry, Michael Carter, and Devontae Smith. At this point, I would probably position myself to play both wide receivers. In the event in which the game on Sunday in Buffalo is a disaster, then you can pivot from Devontae to Michael Carter. Otherwise, I do believe in a full PPR, your most appropriate plays is Scary Terry and Devontae Smith as the duo. It says, also, I have Kittle to start if he plays and Fannin is on my bench, but can use as a flex option. Ooh, yeah, you know what, brother? I think, again, okay, so assuming this is all one team, and Scary Terry, Carter, Devontae Smith are all one team alongside of Fannin and Kittle, I would play Scary Terry today and then position myself to, in the event in which Kittle plays, play Fannin alongside of Scary. Or you could just wait if you're just like, hey, you know what? Don't really trust Scary with Josh Johnson, which I can understand, but I do love the matchup against that secondary with no DeRon Bland out there. But as of right now, in the event in which you would not want to, potentially risk it, I think playing Scary Terry today is the play. Then waiting for Kittle. If he's inactive, you play Fannin and Devontae Smith. If Kittle is active, you play him and Fannin in your flex. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris. All right. Emmanuel sends you a question. Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Says, full PPR double flex league. In a wide receiver, we have JSN, Sutton, Wandell, Pearsall. Okay, that's easy. Obviously, you're playing JSN and Sutton. Running backs, we have Christian McCaffrey, Achane, Jacobs, Henderson, Woody, Sampson, Emmanuel Wilson. Obviously, in that circumstance, you have to play Christian McCaffrey and Achane. So in a double flex format, Josh Jacobs is playing. In the event in which Travion Henderson clears concussion protocol, he would play. Otherwise, it's Woody Marks as my number 2 flex in that circumstance. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Isaiah Hernandez sends in a question. Isaiah, thank you. Says, full PPR, Evans or Kyron? Let me see where I have Evans comparatively. As it currently stands, yeah, Evans, again, I think is a pretty solid option here, but I would end up playing Kyron against the Atlanta Falcons. Now, as for your next question, Tongs or Hunter, if Kittle is out, in the event in which, let me see here. Yeah, in the event, Hunter Henry. It's a little bit of an interesting situation there. I would probably play Tongs over Hunter in the event in which Kittle was out. So yes, I would go Tongs there. Thank you. Hive sends in a follow-up, says full PPR, put in order between Stevenson, Goddard, Franklin, Pittman, Carter, and Tracy. Cool. Of those available options, under the assumption that Travion Henderson is out, I would go Stevenson number 1. Then I would position myself to play Tracy 2. Then it is Goddard 3. Then it's, I believe, let me check. Let's see where I have Carter compared to like Troy Franklin. Troy is ahead of him. Yeah. Okay. So Stevenson, Tracy, Goddard, Franklin, Carter, Pittman. That's the order. Thank you very much, Hive. Tony R 481 sends in a question. Says, "Hey brother, Merry Christmas. Thank you very much." Says, "For all the marbles in a full PPR, flex and pick 2. Jones Sr. as an Aaron Jones, Woody Marks, Reed, Loveland, and Henderson." Yeah, I would. Okay, so this is the dilemma, right? If Henderson clears concussion protocol, that may provide a little bit more value, to which, again, if I was in your position, I think you have to play Aaron Jones today. In the event in which Travion Henderson is active this upcoming weekend, then you would play him instead of Woody. Otherwise, Woody Marks is your number 2 flex alongside of Aaron Jones. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, let's hear him. Kex is good. It says, half PPR, Carter, Ramondre, DJ Moore in the flex. As long as Henderson is out, it's Ramondre. Otherwise, in the event in which Henderson somehow plays, then you position yourself to play DJ Moore there, brother. Thank you. Chad sends in a question. Says, super flex. 6 point per touchdown. Says full PPR. Pick 2, Harvey, Sutton, and Hampton. I have to play Harvey and Sutton. Like, genuinely, I just have to. They're just too valuable of options against that Kansas City defense. I would go all in on playing Denver options as of today. And as you can tell from our rankings, that is, in fact, the direction we will roll in. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Chad. Black Lagoon sends in a question. Says, standard league, single quarterback. Do I flex DeAndre Swift or Jacoby Myers? That's a tough one. Let me see where I have them ranked in a half PPR because, I mean, typically in a standard league, you're going to lean towards RB because of the volume of touches. As it stands, in a half PPR, I would play Myers. Based on my current projection, I'd have to adjust it. Let me just adjust it accordingly for a standard format. And then maybe that can go ahead and give us a little bit of insight as to which direction we're rolling in. But we need Myers and we need Swift. Let me see where they stack up. Yeah, in a standard scoring format, I would just lean towards playing Swift still. As for quarterback, it says Jackson Dart or Tyler Shuck. I'm also starting Olave. Happy holidays. Yeah, if you want to stack Shuck with Olave, I have no issue with it. I do believe that Dart's most recent performance is quite the outlier. So I do think that he will have a bounce back performance against the Raiders. But if you, again, don't want to take the risk, you want to take the 17 plus fantasy points, Shuck will provide that, a stable overall opportunity, and should be able to at least help you get one step closer to a chip. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you as well, brother. Kaizen sends in a question. Says PPR, wide receiver, and a flex. We have London, Evans, RJ, Hampton, and Stevenson. If I was in your position, I would play. Oof, my goodness. I think London and RJ Harvey are my combo there. Thank you. Shoes sends in a question. Says questions in the chat, fam. Thank you very much, brother. Says Henderson or Tracy. In the event in which Henderson is active against the Jets and clears the concussion protocol, I would in fact play him over Tracy. Otherwise, expect for him to potentially miss as he may not clear the protocol. Then you have Dart or Shuck. I would play Dart, but again, I don't mind the idea of playing Shuck. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you as well, Shoes. All right, we had a question from Freddie Flores. Freddie, thank you. All right, Freddie says, flex Jamison Williams or Jawan Jennings. I think they're both fantastic options, but I would prefer to play Jamison Williams. I think he has far too higher of a ceiling comparatively. Gerardo Rodriguez says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as well, sir. Says, I made the finals. Thanks. What wide receivers? CeeDee Lamb, London, J-Mo, Wilson, Myers, and... Okay, so first and foremost, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. Of these available options, I think at running back / wide receiver, we have, okay, like running back, you have to play Christian McCaffrey. And in the event in which Travion Henderson is out, I would play Stevenson there. As for wide receiver, I think you probably in a full PPR position to go CeeDee Lamb alongside of Jamison Williams and London. Actually, no, I don't think I play London there in a full PPR. Let me confirm this. No, I would. Okay, in a full PPR, I would go Christian McCaffrey, Stevenson, Lamb, London, and JMO. That's if Henderson's out. If Henderson's in, you play Henry instead of Stevenson. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Gerardo. Carlos Castro sends in a question. Carlos, thank you. Says, I don't know who to put in the flex if Jameson Williams or DeAndre Swift. Yeah, Jameson Williams has to play. That is my must start. Absolutely, between the two of them, that's the way I go about it. It says because of how the wide receivers are against the Vikings have been. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Jared Goff has played, relatively well against that defense in the last 2 seasons, so I'm pretty confident there. Going in the direction of Jameson Williams, brother. Thank you. Blue Jay sends in a question. Blue Jay, thank you. Says in a full PPR, I'm leaning towards Hampton or Tedderell McMillan. In a full PPR, I would go Hampton. Starting Saquon and Kyron. Also, my RB1 and 2. Cool. Says Texans, Chargers, Buccaneers. Between those options, I would lean in the direction of playing the Texans defense. Merry Christmas to you as well. Says also, if Kittle plays, would you risk it or just play Pitts? It depends. If Kittle gets a full participation of practice by Friday, I'm playing him. If he doesn't, if he's limited and questionable still by Sunday, I would just play Pitts. Thank you. John Wick's dog sends in a question. Says in a flex play 2. We have Debo, Harvey, Godwin, Evans, and Michael Wilson. Harvey and Evans are my 1-2 option. Thank you very much, John Wick. Freddie Flores, we took care of that one. I appreciate it again. Sir Vance a lot says, Merry Christmas, Andrew. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says PPR starting Achane, Gainwell, Tracy. I have Emmanuel Wilson. If Jacob sits, how do you rank? Thanks and for all. Go Rams. Thank you very much, brother. In the event in which Jacob says out and Emmanuel Wilson is the starter, I would rank it as Achane 1, Emmanuel Wilson 2, Gainwell 3, Tracy 4 in a full PPR. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Abraham sends in a question, or Abraham Chavez says, full PPR, want your thoughts on as all ranked close to each other and considering matchups. I need a wide receiver, a flex, and a tight end between Wanner Robinson, Alec Pierce, Jake Ferguson, Taysom Hill, Hunter Henry. Thanks. Okay. So let me see where I have them comparatively to one another in a full PPR. Where's Wanner Robinson? That's the real question. Shoot. So of the availables here, you have Alec Pierce, Jake Ferguson, Taysom Hill, Hunter Henry. Yeah, you don't even have Wanner Robinson. What am I talking about? I think I may have just looked at a different question. Okay, so of these availables, it would probably be in my best interest to most likely roll with one of those 2 tight ends. Hunter Henry's probably the way in which I go about this. Oh, yeah, you do have Wanner Robinson. What am I saying? It's right here. So Wanner Robinson in a full PPR is my wide receiver there. In my tight end position, I would like to go in the direction of playing Hunter Henry there. Within the flex play between Alec Pierce, Taysom Hill, Jake Ferguson, etc., the group, as of right now, where's Alec Pierce? Alec Pierce is there. Yeah, as of right now, I would probably position myself to go Wandell, Hunter Henry, and Jake Ferguson. That's the 3 that I'd roll with, Abraham. Thank you. Mark Merchant sends in a question. Says, should have listened to you. I benched Purdy for Lamar last week. Cost me a championship appearance and 2K. Thank you anyway. You're the man. Did I tell people to play Purdy last week over Lamar? I genuinely don't even remember that. I have to check. Hold up. Let me pull it up. Because maybe I may have even suggested it wrong, brother. Obviously, the injury is an unpredictable factor, but geez, that's rough. Sunday morning, I had by Sunday morning, I had Purdy below Lamar, brother. So I probably would have led you down the same path regardless. So don't even beat yourself up about it. Again, that injury was just brutal. Sorry to hear about that, Mark. But again, there's always next year, brother. Thank you. Kaizen sends in a question. So that injured Kittle or a healthy Fannin with Judkins out. Okay, so first and foremost, Kittle's status is very much so going to be the determining factor. In the event in which Kittle, again, gets a full participation in practice by Friday, I would play him. Otherwise, I'm pivoting and playing Fannin. As for your next question, May run more versus the Jets and a bad game against them last time, or Brissett. I don't really think the running game is going to be a little bit more in terms of him. I think when you say might run more, are you assuming that there might be more running from the offense, or him, like as in Drake May, might run the ball more? I think whichever way we go about it, he is implicated for 3 touchdowns. That's where I have him projected. So I think it's just a little bit too difficult to pass up on that. I'm playing Drake May there. Merry Christmas to you as well, Kaizen. Thank you. Bogus Edit sends in a question. Says, I love your channel. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Says, in a full PPR, Puka, Evans, DJ Moore, Justin Jefferson, Kittle, Pitts, Javonte, DeAndre Swift, Michael Carter, Rashad White, and Kamara. Okay, a lot of potential options there. Puka Nacua is your wide receiver 1. I would pair him up with the likes of Mike Evans as your wide receiver 2. To which then at that point, you have to play Kittle at tight end if he's available. Otherwise, you're pivoting to Kyle Pitts. At running back, you should probably position to play Javonte Williams alongside of DeAndre Swift. So pretty much that just leaves the potential toss-up of a flex, which at this position, I probably consider like, okay, if Kittle's available, I play Kittle and I'm flexing Kyle Pitts. If Kittle is not available, I'm playing Kyle Pitts and I'm flexing DJ Moore. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Bogus. Mr. OG Hippo says, in a full PPR, Rico, Charbonnet, or Franklin, in the flex. In a full PPR, I have to check where I have Franklin comparatively to the likes of a Charbonnet. Because, look, the reality of the situation is Zach Charbonnet requires a touchdown to be a 10-point player. Franklin can do that with 5 catches and 50 yards in his sleep. So let me just see where I have Franklin comparative. Yeah. As I anticipated, I am currently in the direction of going Rico Dowdle number 1, Franklin 2, and Charbonnet 3. Thank you. Demond Smith sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says, in a full PPR, if Kittle is out, would you play Tongs, Brenton Strange, or AJ Barner? I would play Tongs as my number 1 option there. Says, Merry Christmas. Bro, thanks for the help in getting me to the chip. Congratulations, brother. I'm glad I can help in any single way that I'm able to, and thank you for the continued support. Blazing 540 says, should have been more clear. It's a 2-quarterback super flex. I have Lamar on roster. Do I wait to see if he plays or flex one of the other options? Okay, understood. So in the circumstance, no, I don't wait for it, because what if Lamar re-injures himself? I don't think it's worth it. I'm playing Javonte Williams today. Thank you, Blazin. All right, we had a question that came in from Kira, who says, I need 1 in the flex and a half PPR. Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton, or Bucky Irving. In a half PPR, I'm playing Cortland Sutton there. Says, I'm currently playing Josh Jacobs as my RB2, and will put Emmanuel Wilson as my RB2 if Jacobs is out. Yeah, I mean, I think that is the appropriate way in which we go about it, and I think Evans is a solid option, but I have to play Sutton against that matchup in Kansas City. Thank you. All right. I'm assuming your name is Game Machine. I'm assuming that is correct. Says, in a half PPR, Corum or Michael Carter. I'm starting Stafford. I think I have to play Corum. Just too much consistency of late. Carlos Castro says, Swift or Jameson Williams. Yeah, we answered this before. We're going JMO there. Appreciate it very much, Carlos. We had a question that came in from Freddie Alfredo. Thank you very much, Freddie. I appreciate it. Says, Merry Christmas, big dog. Why change of Bucky over Walker in a full PPR? You mean, do you mean why do I have Walker over Bucky? I think that's maybe what you meant. Yeah. So the reason why I have Walker over Bucky in a full PPR is because purely the projection of receptions that I have comparatively. So that is the primary kind of like way in which I've positioned it. Considering, Kenneth Walker has seen a far more contingent kind of consistent opportunity share within the receiving game comparatively to Bucky of late, I think that it goes a long enough ways to where I do believe that that overall contribution provides Walker with the greater value point. Says Super Bowl prediction, Seahawks and Chargers, says Freddie. Brother, that is a very interesting prediction. I think the Chargers have probably sustained far too many offensive line injuries this season to be able to pull that off, but I think it's a very bold prediction, and I honestly like it, and I wouldn't mind watching it, but I would anticipate the Seahawks probably mop them. Thank you. Ibrahim sends in a question. Says, if Luther Burden plays, but Rome Odunze is out, half PPR Ferguson or Loveland? I would, at that point, play Fergie. Thank you. UT, one mate, sends in a question. Or sorry, Alt1 mate progress. Or no, brother, that's ultimate. Jeez. You know, when I'm just reading it as what it is, I'm not really thinking too sharply. So I wasn't expecting the number 1 to be the I symbol. That's ultimate progress. Thank you very much. As full PPR, need help at my wide receiver 2 and flex. I have BTJ, Pittman, Godwin, Franklin. Yeah, at this point, I have to play BTJ, and I think I have to pair him up with Franklin there. Says for my flex, I might play Aaron Jones, Dowdle, or any of the wide receivers not used above. In your flex, I think you should probably play Aaron Jones. So I would position to go BTJ and Aaron Jones as my 1-2 options there in a full PPR ultimate. Thank you. Drewski says, Merry Christmas, brother. Questions in the chat. Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you very much, sir. Says, in a full PPR, I need a flex between McLaurin, Woody, Michael Carter, Emmanuel Wilson, Burden, Sampson. Terry has the best matchup, but I'm worried about the quarterback situation. I don't disagree with that, but I do believe that if you're going to go with one of these options, I think it may end up, in fact, being Woody Marks just to be a little bit safer. Let me just confirm. I do, in fact, have Woody Marks in a full PPR ahead. Just purely out of safety, considering, again, I don't really love the idea of rolling with a third-string quarterback there. So even in the incredible matchup, I would play Woody Marks there, and I would just ignore McLaurin. Thank you. All right. B-Stool, Fonda, sends out a question. Thank you very much. Says, a Merry Christmas, Andrew. Thank you very much. We made it. Says, in a half PPR flex, what is this? Aaron Jones, Sampson, Diggs, Burden, and Jaden Reed. Let me see where I have Diggs compared to Aaron Jones, and let me just cross-reference that and let you know. So as it stands, Stephon Diggs is my highest-ranked player of the bunch. That's the direction in which I would suggest you go in. Stephon Diggs. Thank you very much, B-Stole. Appreciate it. All right. Aaliyah, 1800, says, Merry Christmas. Can kicker Lutz finish first? That's an interesting question. I don't think so. I think from what we have seen in terms of the contributions of Will Lutz over the course of the season, the lack of total opportunities in terms of field goals, I don't think that there is a shot there for Lutz to be able to accomplish that. Thank you. Okay, so we're about an hour into the live stream. I am very much so sleep deprived, so my mental faculties are beginning to kind of fall away at this moment. But again, I'm trying to stay as premierly focused as possible to continue answering questions. I appreciate y'all. Content Kyle sends out a question, says, thank you very much. Fighting for the championship in a half PPR. Do I play Ferguson or Borregales? Sorry, that's not Ferguson. That's Fairbairn. I would play Fairbairn there. He's been far too valuable comparatively to a Borregales. Says also, who am I running out of Pierce, Diggs, Myers? I would genuinely play Myers there. Says, I already got CD and Olave as my wide receiver 1 and 2. Yeah, so you're in a really solid spot there. Myers will be my option alongside of Fairbairn. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Limerent Object says, I need one in a half PPR. Michael Wilson, Charbonnet, Corum, Sampson. Let me see where I have Corum comparatively to Michael Wilson. Genuinely, is that half PPR? Yeah, as it stands, half PPR, genuinely I have Blake Corum 1 spot ahead of Michael Wilson. So I would play Blake Corum there. Thank you. Young Danny sends out a question. Young, thank you very much. Says PPR, Merry Christmas, Wanda Robinson or Corum in the flex. In a full PPR, I would rather play Wanda Robinson and bank on this most recent performance from Jackson Dart being quite the outlier. Play-by-play sends out a question. Says Travion Henderson was limited yesterday. Was he? I'm pretty sure he was at a full participation based on the report that I read. Let me see what the report was from New England. Oh, he is limited. Okay, maybe I saw it incorrectly earlier today, but I was almost positive that it was at a full capacity. It says if he plays, where do you rank him? In the event in which he plays, based on the rankings that are demonstrated on screen, I'm thinking about it. Because I think both him and Ramondre would be of value. Enough to where I think you could start them both, like a Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker duo. I would play Travion Henderson probably behind Woody Marks. So he would be like RB22 ahead of Bucky Irving. Thank you. Again, against the Jets, it would just be an automatic smash play. Alrighty. Okay. Let's see here. We had a question that came in from Harry, who says, in a PPR, Christian McCaffrey or George Pickens locked in. Okay. Sorry. And George Pickens locked in. Lost Bowers. I need an RB, wide receiver flex, and a tight end. Gainwell, Warren, Hendo, Tracy, Jacoby Myers. We have Tedero McMillan. We have Mike Gesicki and Loveland. So Loveland will be my tight end play there. At running back, I have to play Jaylen Warren. At wide receiver, I have to play Jacoby Myers. And at flex, I have to play Gainwell. So, again, even in the event in which Henderson is active, I probably play Warren and Gainwell alongside of Loveland there. Thank you. All right, Parkera says in a half PPR rank, Tyrone Tracy, Fannin, Tedoroa, Kittle, Jeff, and BTJ. Excuse me. In a half PPR, I believe the way in which we should go about this is like Kittle number 1, Fannin 2. Let me think about it. Where is Tyrone Tracy on my list? Okay, so the order in which I currently have it displayed would be Kittle, Tedoroa. Sorry, no. Where's Tedoroa? Got it. As it currently stands, I would go Kittle, Fannin, Tedoroa, Tyrone Tracy, BTJ, then Justin Jefferson. Thank you. All right, Mug sends in a question. Says, Javonte, Harvey, or JT as my RB1 and 2. Genuinely, I would position myself to play RJ Harvey and Jonathan Taylor there. Says Sutton, London, Chase, or T. Higgins for my wide receiver 1 and 2. Oop, don't want to unplug that wire with my foot. Sutton and Jamar Chase will be the number 1-2 option. Thank you. Tim Schwartz sends out a question. Tim says, I need a flex in a full PPR. Terry McLaurin, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, Aaron Jones, Zach Charbonnet, Michael Wilson, Woody Marks, Luther Burden, and A.D. Mitchell. I think it's Aaron Jones and Woody Marks. Yeah. So, in my honest opinion, I would probably position to play Woody Marks. Again, in the event in which he doesn't end up playing by the end of this week and Aaron Jones could have been in your lineup, I'm not too beat up about it. I would be pretty happy positioning myself to pivot accordingly to the alternatives. Thank you. Luis Garcia says, I need 2 in the flex spot. PPR between Henderson, McMillan, Tracy, Rico, Rico Dowdle, and JJ. And Pierce. Okay. I am sweating really badly. These lights are killing me. Okay. So, in regards to the potential here, needing 2 flex spots. If Henderson's active, he's my number 1. And I would probably pair that up with Tedoroa, I believe. Yeah. So as of right now, Henderson and Tedoroa will be the number 1 and 2. In the event in which Henderson is not available, I would position myself to play Tracy alongside of McMillan. Thank you. San Fran 21 sends it a question. San Fran says, somehow made it. Might be cooked. Do I start Purdy or Lawrence? I prefer to play Lawrence there. Says, with 2 receivers, 1 RB and 2 flex, do I start? We have Bucky, Travion Henderson, healthy, Woody, Corum, Justin Jefferson. So of the group, so if we need 1 running back and 2 flex, I feel like I can fill it all with running backs here. So if Travion Henderson's healthy, he's my RB1, and I would pair him up with most likely Woody Marks. And then at that point, it's a matter of, do I want to? I think we have to. So Henderson, if healthy, would play with Marks and Justin Jefferson. In the event in which Henderson is not available, I would go Woody, Tedoroa, and then at that point, Justin Jefferson in a full PPR. Thank you. San Fran, appreciate it. Alrighty, let me just see here. How much are we behind right now? Pretty substantial amount. Again, I appreciate y'all coming through on this wonderful Thursday. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to all of you and your families over the course of today. Again, we'll be here for the next 50 minutes answering questions. Your boy is absolutely sweating his ass off underneath these lights, but I am trying my best with very little sleep. What I mean by very little sleep is literally 0 hours of sleep. I didn't sleep. And that is just, that's the way of the road. Sometimes you got to do it. And in the case of this week, Thursday, I'm willing to make the sacrifice. Thank you. Okay, appreciate it, San Fran. Luis Garcia says, in a different league, in a full PPR flex 2 between JCM, Marks, Pollard, Pierce, Wilson, and Abuka. Got to play Marks, and I've got to play Pollard. Thank you. K Visionary says, championship round, Kelsey or Taysom Hill. Is playing Taysom Hill getting too cute? If it is, then, I'm as cute as a button. I'm going Taysom Hill there. Paul sends it a question. Says, in a full PPR, Gibbs, JT, Saquon, Javonte. Says start 4. I'm assuming you meant start 3. Says, I had a dream last night. JMO gave me a 0 burger today. Brother, don't put that out there. Why'd you have to say that? Why'd you say that? I'm assuming that you meant to potentially, add JMO to this list. If in the event in which JMO is added to this list, let me see where I have him ranked comparatively to the field in a full PPR, and I'll let you know right now. So as it stands, he would be ahead of Javonte Williams. So that would be what I would keep as the odd man out. So I would play Gibbs, JT, Saquon, and JMO. Thank you. All right. Kyron Williams, ACL, sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. Says, I have Kittle in the Super Bowl, full PPR. I picked up Loveland and Taysom. I could add all tongues. I could add tongues. Wow, my eyes are cooked. Who do I start if Kittle is out? Hoping Puka carries. Yeah, I agree. I hope Puka carries. But in the event in which Tongs is out in a full PPR, if in the event in which Kittle is out, Tongs would be my highest ranked option of the bunch in a full PPR. Thank you. Drewski says, follow-up question in another league. Thanks. Says, in a full PPR, I need a flex between McLaurin, Woody, Marks with Michael Carter, Manny Wilson, Burden, Sampson, Terry. Yeah, so we already answered that one. As for your next question, it says, full PPR, 1 running back, 1 flex, Bucky, Pollard, Emmanuel Wilson, Dowdle, Diggs, and Fannin. As for the running back position, I have to play Tony Pollard. As for the flex position, I would lean in the direction of, if I'm talking about a full PPR here, man, the volatility of Stephon Diggs makes it tough. I think I'm going to play it safe. I think I would play Pollard and Fannin as for this week. Drewski, thank you. All right, continuing on. Swole it says, questions in the chat. I feel like my team doesn't belong. LOL. Says, okay. Says, what's up, Andrew? Made it to the championship. I feel like my team very underwhelming. We went over this earlier, but your rankings changed and Bowers is out. Picked up Taysom Hill. 40 yards per play bonus. Drake. Okay, yep. We have Burrow. We have, Chase, Jennings, Quentin Johnson, Adunze, RJ, Bucky, Marks, Dowdle, Carter. Bowers is out. Picked up Taysom. And we have the New Orleans and Detroit defense. 6-point per passing touchdown. Going up against the juggernaut. Dylan Sampson is on the waivers. I feel like my flex is pretty shaky. I wouldn't say that your flex is shaky. Like, you're going to play, well, it depends, right? If you're playing RJ, Harvey, Bucky, Harvey, Woody, Marks, I'm okay with it. I don't think I'm going to pick up Dylan Sampson unless you're blocking your opponent. If you're blocking your opponent, then at that point, yes, it's justifiable. Says, I did pick up Emmanuel Wilson since I do have an empty spot in case Jacob misses. He had 82 yards last week. I do feel good about Woody Marks in the flex. You don't feel good about Woody Marks? Again, I would anticipate him to be at a full capacity and 20 touches once again. Says, you had Saints defense over Lions. I did. Earlier this week, I did. And then as Max Brosmer's injury, not Max Brosmer, as J.J. McCarthy's injury came to fruition and was developed to have the MRI and designate that he had a fracture in his hand, and is additionally on top of that, their starting left tackle IR. Hawkinson out for this game. They're starting center out for this game. With all of that stacking up, I was like, okay, there's no way I'm not playing the Lions in comparison to the Saints. So that's what primarily changed it. A lot of injury designations that made the biggest swap there. Thank you very much, Swollet. I appreciate it. All right, Drew sends in a question, says Discord. Okay, Drew, let me see what you have here, brother. All righty, Drew, I believe you should have access to the Patreon. So if you can pop over to that, and I did post that earlier this morning. If you can check that out, that'd be greatly appreciated. But let me just see what you had sent over to me, brother. Okay, so you said Jawan Jennings or Ramondre Stevenson in the flex. I believe I have Ramondre ranked higher. Again, I will remind you that is under the assumption that Travion Henderson is out. If Travion Henderson is not out, then I am playing Jawan Jennings. Otherwise, assuming he's out, Ramondre's in my lineup. Thank you. Sean Davis sends in a question. Sean, thank you very much, sir. Says JCM or Michael Carter. As it currently stands, of the available options, I've gone ahead and kind of like displayed them as such. I think regardless of scoring format, it becomes a matter of like, can I trust Michael Carter to get the job done comparatively? As of right now, half PPR, I go JCM, and a full PPR, I would go Michael Carter. Thank you. Marcus sends in a question. Marcus, thank you very much. Says, I'm thinking of starting T over JMO. How do we, says, how do you have JMO above T this week? What do you mean, how? Very easily. Jameson Williams, in terms of his weekly contributions, since the bye week, since week 9, since they took on the Minnesota Vikings and he had that game of 4 catches, 66, and a touchdown, he has been unbelievable. So I would anticipate, as an offense that were able to tear apart that secondary earlier this season, and now has to take on an offense that has no left tackle, no starting center, no Jordan Mason, and additionally, no J.J. McCarthy, you would assume there's going to be a very much so one-sided event there, to which there should be a little bit more opportunity in the direction, or more opportunities in terms of targets at minimum for JMO and Amon-Ra. And over the course of the last couple seasons here, when the Detroit Lions are coming off of a loss, I believe they're like 18-1 against the spread. Expect them to probably win by 2 touchdowns, which again continues to elevate the potential of that offense. Sends out a question, says full PPR Woody or Pierce? I would play Woody. Mark says if Burden plays, is he ranked above the 2? If Burden plays, in the event in which Luther Burden is active this week, I would probably still play Woody Marks there and Alec Pierce there. Says thanks for all the help this year. Happy holidays. Thank you very much. Happy holidays to you as well, brother. C. Banger says, Merry Christmas, Andrew. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well. Says PPR Superflex tight end premium. All right. Says in a start 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 1 Superflex. We have Ladd, we have BTJ, Reed, Pierce, Henderson, Barner, Waller, Tongs, Willis, Wilson, if they play. Thanks, man. Okay. So as of right now, you should probably position to play Henderson. Well, okay, Henderson would be your technical. Well, no. Hold up. You don't even have a flat. You don't have an RB. You have a super flex. Okay. So. Okay. So at wide receiver, I am going to play most likely in a. Is it a full PPR? It is. In a full PPR, I would probably go BTJ. Then at tight end, I would probably play Tongs, assuming Kittle is out. Otherwise, pivot to Barner. And then, in regards to your super flex, if Henderson's available, I roll in that direction. Otherwise, I would genuinely play Malik Willis. Thank you. All right, Deadweight 999 says in the flex spot, Krosky Merritt versus the Cowboys or Michael Carter versus the Bengals. I think they're both incredible options this week. I would go Krosky Merritt again. The Bengals are an incredible matchup, but it's tough to say outright whether or not it'll be enough for Michael Carter in this circumstance. Thank you. All right, we had a question from Eugenio Flores. Eugenio, thank you. Says start who? 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex. Okay, let's see what you have here, brother. And 1 tight end. We have half PPR, Burrow or Hurts. I would play Burrow. Bijan, Genty, Stevenson, Dowdle, Hampton. Okay, I mean, that's easy. Bijan and technically, Genty and Stevenson would all be starts. Those are your two RBs and one flex. Then you have London, who has to start, Sutton, who has to start, McBride, who's your tight end. Do I play London there? Is it a half PPR? Yeah, it is. Okay, let me think about this. Sorry I'm messing with my hat so much. I'm just like, it's catching all my sweat, but it's also beginning to itch. That's one of those situations where you wear a Santa hat, it becomes a little bit of a problem there when Santa starts to sweat. Okay, so Burrow is my suggestion for sure. Bijan and Genty are probably my 1-2. Stevenson has to play. Olave has to play. Sutton has to play. And then London versus Hampton is the question, which in a half PPR becomes quite the interesting circumstance. In a half PPR, I have London. So it would be, in fact, Burrow, Bijan, Genty, Stevenson, Olave, London, Sutton, McBride. As for this week, Eugene, thank you. MVM sends in a question. Says, Brissett or Stafford? I would play with Matthew Stafford under center, assuming Puka is available. Otherwise, Woody Marks, Jordan Charbonnet, Pittman, Estime, Krosky, Pollard. Please pick 4 in a full PPR for the finals in a dynasty. So of the availables, Woody Marks has to play. I have to play Pollard. I think Charbonnet is a must. And I think at that point in a full PPR, I'd probably go with Pittman. So again, Woody, Charbonnet, Pollard, Pittman. Yeah, that's the way I go about it. Thank you very much, brother. All right, Nathan sends in a question, says, Merry Christmas. I'm in the chip. In a non-PPR, what 3 should I play at wide receiver and tight end? Says, share the slots. Okay. Says, I have Lamb, Nico, Devontae Smith, Christian Watson, Harold Fannin. I would play Lamb, Nico, and Harold Fannin. Thank you. Adrian Acosta says, questions in the chat. Okay. Merry Christmas. My league is a full PPR, 1 quarterback, 1 point per completion. Okay, running backs or 0.5 points per rushing attempt. First question, start Mayfield or Knicks? Ooh, let me see the completion counts. Hold up. Yeah, Baker does not throw the ball enough to even justify it. Yeah, at this point, in a point per completion format, Bo Nix is my start. And then for your next question, it says start 4 between Devontae, Tetaroa, Sutton, Corum, and Marks. So Sutton, Marks, Tetaroa. And then if we're talking about a full PPR, Devontae Smith is your 4 starts. Thank you. All right, continue being on. We had Kex is good. Says T-Law or Purdy. I will play T-Law there. Says I have Christian McCaffrey and Kittle going up against Jennings. Yeah, I mean, you could end up just stacking all of your potential options there and negating any sort of points across the board, but I really do like Trevor Lawrence on the heater of late. Thank you. You know what it is? I think I'm overheating. Alrighty. Jeez, Louise. It feels like I've been sitting in a sauna. That's what the problem is. Okay. Now I'm a little bit more. I was like, why am I tweaking right now? And then I realized this hat is burning me alive to a crisp. Okay, yeah, but getting back to your question, Kex, I do believe you could just like stack Purdy with the crew in the event in which, again, you do have a situation where you just want to just pretty much guarantee all the points and negate anything that Jennings does. But I would, again, with that strategy, I think it's safe. I think you just play Purdy and you just roll with it, assuming Kittle's there. Otherwise, I think T-Law is your option. That is my highest ranked of the bunch. Phil says, you said Lamar isn't looking like he'll play. So I looked at the waivers and we've got Shuck, Geno Smith, rough. Yeah, pick up and play Shuck in the event in which Lamar is not available. Thank you. Mr. Hockey Man sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Says, hey, Andrew, Merry Christmas. Full PPR. Start 2 between Kenneth Gainwell, Cortland Sutton, Mike Evans. As of right now, let me see where I have Gainwell compared to the crew, and we'll let you know. As of right now, I would play Cortland Sutton and Kenneth Gainwell. Says also I have the Jaguars defense. Says also you have the Jaguars defense ranked significantly above the Saints, struggling between the two. Thanks. Yeah, the only reason in which I have the Jaguars up there is because again you have Phillip Rivers, who could be a turnover machine this upcoming week. There is always potential in which Cam Ward could do the same. But based on how well that Jaguars defense has played on a consistent basis over the course of the last 2 months, it is very difficult for us to pivot away from them based on the recent success. All right, let's see here. No Mams sends in a question. It says full PPR super flex. I have Harold Fandon and Kyle Pitts. Do I play them both? Tracy, yeah, no, I would play them both. I think it is justifiable in a full PPR to play both Fandon and Pitts over Tracy. Thank you. Cesaro sends in a question. Says says keep Ferguson or waiver AJ Brown and Schultz. I would play Schultz today. Thank you. Pick him up, play him. Got Chubb sends in a question. Says full PPR. I need to pick two between Ladd, Alec Pierce, Godwin, and Jawan Johnson. I mean, at this point, Jawan Johnson and Ladd McConkey would be my suggestions again. As for Silent, who sends in a question, says Merritt, Crocker. I think you mean Krosky. We have Gainwell, Tracy, start two. I would play Gainwell and Tracy this week. Thank you. Eugenio Flores sends in a question. Follow-up says 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 1 tight end, 1 defense. Says we have Law, we have Lawrence. Okay, so sorry, we have Allen, we have Lawrence. I mean, you have to play Josh Allen. You have Christian McCaffrey, ETN. That's RB1 and 2. You look at wide receivers. You have Sutton, Wilson, McLaurin, Myers. Okay, I mean, at this point, at wide receiver, I'm starting Sutton and McLaurin. Or actually, no, I'm playing Sutton and Myers. So Josh Allen, Christian McCaffrey, ETN, Sutton, Myers, McBride at tight end. Then I'm playing Stevenson in my flex under the assumption that TreVeyon Henderson is out. Otherwise, I'm pivoting to playing, that's what I'm doing. Otherwise, I'll pivot to the next best option. And then at defense, between Pats and Steelers, I've got to play the Patriots against the Jets. Thank you. John says, Lawrence, Darnold, or Herbert. I'd go with Lawrence there. Says flex Myers or Tracy. I would play Myers there. Tight end Tongs or Warren. Assuming Kittle is out, it would be Tongs there. John, thank you. Twisted Folk sends in a question. Says half PPR. I have Kyron. Flex Corum, Hampton, or DJ Moore. Okay, so in this circumstance, only if Luther Burden is out and Rome Odunze is out would I go DJ Moore. Watson is only a playable option if Jordan Love's out there. I think, again, at this point, well, yeah, I mean, comparatively to the group, I think DJ Moore and Franklin are your top 2 options. In the event, I mean, you have Davis. Shoot. Yeah, I'm playing DJ Moore and I'm playing Franklin. It says also Seattle or New Orleans. I would rather have Seattle's defense this week. Thank you. Gabriel Martin says, who do I start, Aubrey or Myers? I would play Jason Myers. Thank you, sir. Rebound Capital Group says, in what order? Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard, Christian Watson, Deebo Samuel. It would be Pollard, number 1, Jones, number 2, Watson, number 3, Deebo, number 4. Only Watson, number 3 there in the event in which Jordan Love is back. And even if he is, I might jump him to number 2 if it's a full PPR. So if it's a half, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Deebo, Watson. In the event in which it's a full PPR and Jordan Love is back, I would go Pollard, Watson, Aaron Jones, and Deebo. Thank you. Sam Hobbs says, if Vidal is out, would you start Henry or Hampton? I would still play Henry there regardless of the status of Vidal. Joe sends in a question, says Superflex, full PPR. Aaron Rodgers, Bryce Young, Phillip Rivers, Tracy, or JCM? Thanks. I mean, looking at the availables, I kind of want to play a quarterback. If it's my team, I probably play Aaron Rodgers there. And then my next best option is then Tracy. Thank you. TA8779 sends it a question. TA, thank you. All right, where the heck did TA's question go? Here we go. It says, I have JJ, JMO, McLaurin, DJ Moore. I was going with JMO and DJ Moore, but would you recommend McLaurin over DJ if you have Swift as your flex? Would I diversify there? No, I wouldn't. I think I'm still sticking with DJ Moore there. Thank you. Sebastian Miller says, full PPR pick 2, Woody, Monungai, Terry, Sampson. Woody has to play. Terry has to play, in my opinion. Full PPR. Thank you. Neil Dynasty 39 says, Spears or Sampson, Sanders. Okay, so in the event in which I have to pick between the groups, I would prefer to lean in the direction of probably going with Spears in this circumstance. Thank you. Kodiak sends in a question, says, one more. Half PPR. Lineup is Burrow, JT, Chase Brown, Lamb, Moore, Strange, Flowers, Baron, Texans. Okay, so we have Bench, Stafford, Tucker, Franklin, Watson, Pearsall, Waller, Schultz. Okay. Any changes to the lineup? Any info on injuries? Yeah, so look, as of right now, Burrow, JT, Chase Brown, Lamb, and Moore are incredible. Strange is okay there. I think, Flowers, Fairbairn, Texans is beautiful. There is the potential of which, if Love does play on Saturday, I would play Watson, most likely over DJ Moore. Otherwise, I think the only other thing in which I change is I'm playing Schultz over Strange. Thank you. Joe sends in a follow-up, says, also in the flex, Tracy or JCM in a full PPR with Rodriguez out. I would go Tracy there. Thank you. Mr. Eric says, in a full PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex, pick 2, Scary Terry, Diggs, Woody Marks. Okay, so look, of the available options, I think they're solid. I think of your options, considering the full PPR capacity, I would play Diggs and Marks as my 1-2. Craig sends in a question, says, half PPR, check the chat. Merry Christmas to all. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well. Says, Merry Christmas, Andrew, and Merry Christmas to everyone else in the chat. Half PPR, do I start Christian that's JCM, Sampson, Emmanuel Wilson, Tyler Warren. We have Luther Burden starting Aubrey, Sutton, and Lyons today too. Yeah, look, those options are great. I think the only one that I would consider rolling with today is probably going JCM in this circumstance, considering the half PPR format. Yeah, JCM's the start. Appreciate it, Craig. Alrighty, so now, besides the hat that was absolutely overheating me, this jacket is now killing me. Like, physically, I am passing away from the jacket's heat. Now, the question is, do I have another t-shirt available? I don't think I have one in this certain room. But technically, we're about 28 minutes. I think I can survive. I think I can. I'm considering it, though. Let me think here. Let me contemplate the potential of me leaving the stream for about 25 seconds to go get a shirt, so I can throw this thing off of me. Now, in regards to the next questions that come through here, we had Miko, who says, PPR, start 1, Harvey, Mike Evans, or JMO. I would play Harvey, genuinely. Then we move on to Led, who says, hey, Andrew, full PPR plus 0.15 per receiving/rushing yard. Says, any changes? We have Trevor Lawrence, we have James Cook, Derrick Henry, Amon-Ra, McLaurin, Schultz, McMillan, Saints, Dicker, and then we have Tracy with Brissett. Yeah, look, as of right now, of the available options here, I would not pivot anything except for maybe playing Tampa Bay's defense instead of the Saints. I think that's kind of the only thing in which I would theoretically swap at this moment. Says, unsure about the flex and defense. Yeah, I'm comfortable with both the Saints and Buccaneers, but I do like the Buccaneers versus yours. And then in regards to the flex position, you currently have McLaurin, I believe, set as your flex. You have McMillan there. I mean, again, either which way you go about it, both are fantastic options, and I think I would keep it as such. Thank you. Appreciate it, Led. All right, then we had a question from Michael Ortiz, who says, start Dak Prescott over Hurts? Yes, I would. Says, I have Goddard at tight end stack, and he has Pickens. Yeah, look, I think I'm just going to chase the points and avoid the weather. So I'm going to go with Dak Prescott there. Sam Hobbs sends in a question. Says, full PPR Hampton or Henry if Vidal is in or out? Regardless of Vidal status, I'm playing Derrick Henry. Thank you. Moses sends in a question. Moses Andrade says 3 wide receivers and 2 flex. PPR, tight end premium and a half. Okay. Says I have T. Higgins, Zay Flowers, Wanda Robinson. We have Chris Godwin, Trey Tucker. We have Coker. Okay. So look, and then you also have Strange and Ferguson. So of the availables here, T. Higgins has to play, Zay Flowers has to play, Wanda Robinson has to play. Those are my 3 easy starts. And then when we look towards the flex position and the tight end premium factor, I genuinely would rather play both Strange and Ferguson over the alternatives. So Higgins, Flowers, Wandell, Strange, and Ferguson should go. And that should be your lineup. Thank you. Kevin sends in a question. Says, half PPR Jacobs, Sutton, AJ Brown, Evans. Let me see where I have Jacobs compared to the crew. Okay, so of the available, yeah, as of right now, I think there is inherent risk with Jacobs. I currently have it as Sutton as my highest ranked. It would go Sutton, Jacobs, AJ Brown, and Evans. If you want to wait for the status of Jacobs as we get closer to Sunday, or specifically Saturday, you could wait, but otherwise I think I'm playing Sutton there. Thank you. Jim says McLaurin or Stevenson. In the event in which Travion Henderson is out, you have to play Stevenson. But again, you won't know that until later this week, and considering in about 24 minutes, McLaurin is playing, you have to decide now or never, and if it was me, I would probably just purely make the decision based on what the pivoting options are available. Alex Gonzalez says, what's up, Andrew? Made it to the championship. Congratulations, brother. Says, I have the flex spot open. Who do you have? Who would have you pick? I have a flex spot open. Who would have you pick of these 3? Okay. Charbonnet, Rico, Merritt. Of the available options, I would go Rico 1, Merritt 2, Charbonnet 3. Thank you. We move on to AJ, who says, PPR, please put lineup together out of these options in the chat. Says one quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end. Nope. Jeez Louise, my brain is fried. Oh my God. Okay. Lock it in, Andrew. 20 minutes. No sleep, no problem. 1 quarterback, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. You have Brissett, you have Christian McCaffrey, Chase Brown, Ladd, Jason Abuka, Brees, Reed, Tracy, Parker, Hollins, Broncos and Steelers, Brent Strange, and Jake Ferguson. Okay, so the quarterback that I would play, I mean, the only option that I even saw available is playing Jacoby Brissett, to which then your wide receivers end up being, Ladd, McConkey, JSN, and Abuka. Unless you feel comfortable enough playing Mac Hollins. And then when we look towards flex, I don't understand. Like if Chase and McCaffrey aren't your 1 and 2, Tracy should probably be your flex there. Thank you. And in between Bretton Strange and Ferguson at tight end, as of right now in a half PPR, I have Bretton Strange ahead of him. Thank you. TJ Money says, championship round 2, PPR, I'm up by 40. I have Brissett and Pitts. My opponent has May and McBride. Should I play Brissett or play T-Law? I would play T-Law. Thank you. Blue Jay sends, Blue Jew 14 says, Rico, Jacobs, or Bill. I would play Jacobs. It says, I can see Jacobs sitting. It's possible, but he did have himself limited participation or practice. So I would like to hope that he will still be relevant and available for us. Joel Garza sends out a question. Says, questions in the chat, fam. Thank you very much, Joel Garza. Merry Christmas, Andrew, and thank you for all that you do. Live on Christmas morning, what a goat. No question, just thank you and cheers. It says, just thank you, cheers, good luck. Thank you very much, Joel Garza. I greatly appreciate it. Yes, I need the luck this week. Hopefully I can bring in another championship this season. Thank you. Don Bev sends in a question. Don, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate that. We're going to get to that question in just a moment. Just got to scroll a tiny bit. Actually, I missed it probably. Where's Don Bev? There it is, Don Bev. Says, should I put JCM in my RB2 and flex Henderson for one? Oh, interesting. I would. Yep, I would. Considering Henderson's status is up in the air, I would play JCM as my RB2. And in the event in which Henderson is not available, I would play Wanda Robinson in the flex. I think that is a great plan of action there, Don Bev. Thank you. Moving on to a question from Swollen, who says, set my lineup. Sorry, I gave a lot of info. I know. Okay. Let's see what... Oh, brother. This is not a lot of info, brother. This is a manifesto. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's see what you have here. So it says, if Kamara plays, what tight end would you pick up instead of Taysom? Mayer, Theo, Waller, Gesicki, AJ, Colby, or Chigoziem Okonkwo? In the event in which Taysom was not to be as valuable as he is with Kamara being active, I genuinely would play Colby Parkinson. Like, absolutely, without a doubt, I would. But in regards to setting your lineup, I mean, we talked about it earlier, right? Burrow or May, I'm playing Burrow. You have Jamar and Jennings as your wide receivers. That's my 1 and 2. You have RJ and Woody Marks as your running back 1 and 2. In the event in which you have a flex, you're playing Bucky Irving there. Otherwise, you're looking for a tight end, which in this case would be Taysom Hill. In the event in which he is not available, because let's say Kamara returns, then of course you wouldn't go in that direction. Then you would look in the direction of potentially, if Kittle is out, you play Tongs. Otherwise, you then try to position yourself to play Colby on Monday. Thank you. A lot of contingencies, but a lot of great options still out there. Rob P says, PPR flex, T. Higgins, Jalen Warren, Tracy. I have to play Jalen Warren against a defense that, quite frankly, cannot stop a soul in the fucking running game, guys. It's unbelievable how great Cleveland was to start the season in terms of stopping the run, and they've just been awful at it of late. AJ says, PPR, please put 2 lineup together out of these options. Wait, I'm so confused. So it says, please put lineup together out of these options in the chat. Okay, we already did this before. But yeah, you just repeated it. So in terms of this overall circumstance, Brissett is my quarterback. Chase and CMC are my running backs. I'm playing Ladd and JSN as my wide receivers. I'm going to play the Broncos defense. And if I have a flex option, it's technically going to be Tracy. Thank you. Oh, and if I had another wide receiver option besides Ladd and JSN, that wide receiver option would then at that point technically be Mac Hollins or Parker Washington. If it's a full PPR, give me Parker. If it's a half PPR, give me myself. Or, geez, Louise. Mac Hollins. Nope. Brother, I am so sleep deprived, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay. Wow. I zoned out there. Okay. We were talking about Christian McCaffrey, Chase Brown, your third wide receiver after Ladd and JSN. Yes, because you're flexing Tracy would technically be Parker Washington or Mac Hollins. Yeah, because those are my 2 highest ranked. So technically, if it's a half, I'm going Mac. If it's a full, I'm going Parker. Thank you. Gosh, that was a complete zone out. I knew I could feel it in my bones. I was zoning out when I was even speaking to the question itself, which is fucking unbelievable. Sorry about my language. Okay, happy holidays. Where are we now? Okay, so we were at, we took care of Rob P. We took care of Swollen, I believe. Why have I lost my footing as to where I am? I think I'm just going to go from the bottom up. Okay, Steve Bateman, I just sent in a question. Send bench 1, London, Evans, Henderson if he plays. If Henderson, well, okay. In the event in which Henderson plays, I would probably end up benching Evans. And London and Henderson will be the top 2 options there. JK sends in a question. There's nothing attached. JK, do me a favor and type that question into the live chat whenever you get an opportunity. That is greatly appreciated. Thank you, man. Okay. Where am I? Okay. Let's see here. We took care of all these questions. Where the heck did we go? Is it AJ that we got stuck on here? Yeah, it was AJ. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. So after AJ's question, we had TJ Money who says championship round 2. Okay. I think we already took care of this one. Says, I'm up by 40 with Brissett and Pitts. My opponent has McBride. Yeah, we already answered that one as well. Blue Jay. He said Rico, Jacobs, or Bill. Yeah, we already answered that one. So this was AJ again. Got it. So now we have Cody Shannon. That's why I got mixed up, because it was doubling up on the question. It says, I'm really considering benching Nico for Evans. How dumb is that? I don't think it's dumb. I think it's a solid play. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if Mike Evans outscored him. It wouldn't, genuinely. So I don't think it's a dumb decision at all. Would I personally do it? No, but I think that there is a conversation to be had, absolutely. All right. iHack77 says, Merry Christmas, Andrew. Merry Christmas to you as well. Says, what are your better picks for today? Yeah, so this is what I was mentioning earlier. I really love the idea of potentially tailing anything that revolves around more from players who are on the Cowboys, on the Broncos, or on the Detroit Lions, as I expect all three of those teams to blow out their opposing opponents. So Dak Prescott, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I liked RJ Harvey, anytime touchdown. I like, if you can get Cortland Sutton more than 4.5 receptions, I love that. The other play in which I really liked was Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown as well. And then it says Chris Rodriguez is out today. Pick 2 in a full PPR. Krosky, Merritt, Dowdle, Wilson, Brian Thomas, Tyler Warren. BTJ and Dowdle will be my number 1 and 2 options there. iHack. Thank you. Mr. Dougie Fresh Gaming. Thank you very much, sir. Says, who should I start? 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 flex. Full PPR, Puka, McLaurin, Wan'Dale Robinson, Watson, Reed. Look, Puka Nacua, I think, has to play alongside of probably McLaurin there and Wan'Dale Robinson as your top 3 options at wide receiver. Then when we look at RB, we have Barkley, Cook, Etienne, Harvey. I mean, technically speaking, I have to play Barkley, Cook, and Etienne. Those are my must-starts. And those will be your 2 RBs in your flex. And in between Warren and Hill, I have to play Hill as my tight end. Thank you. Mr. Hockeyman sends in a follow-up, says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, start 2 between Mike Evans, Michael Wilson, and Bucky Irving. As of right now, I would go with Mike Evans and Bucky Irving. Says, it feels so bad to start Bucky after what they're doing to him on the goal line. Yeah, I agree, but I don't love what I've seen from Michael Wilson when Marvin Harrison's been active of late. M. Perry says, I need 1 in a full PPR, Debo or Godwin. In Seattle or Lions. I prefer the Lions defense. As for Godwin or Debo Samuel, is this a full PPR? It is. Okay, let me see where I have Debo. I do have Debo Samuel ahead. I would play him. Thank you. Wild sends in a question. Says, pick 2, Michael Carter, Ricky Pearsall, Alec Pierce, Luther Burden, Chris Godwin, Parker Washington, Taysom Hill, or Blake Corum. Of the available options, if I can only pick 2, I would, probably position myself to most likely roll like a Michael Carter / Blake Corum combo, or maybe Blake Corum, Taysom Hill. One of those 2 is probably the way in which I go about this. Thank you. Get some sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. Says pick 2, Pickens, Sutton, RJ Harvey, Collins. If I'm picking 2 in a PPR, let me see where I have Harvey. Real quick. Oh, that's a half PPR. Let me check full PPR. Harvey. So Harvey's my number 1 and Pickens is my number 2, or more like Pickens is 1 and Harvey is 2. But either which way about it, those are my 2 options there. Thank you. All right, Goal sends in a question. Goal, thank you. Says Sutton or Moore. Got to play Cortland Sutton. Thank you very much. Howard sends in a question. Says, Merry Christmas. Question is below. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well and your family. Says, you came through last week. Thank you. Won by a point. Roll the dice with Herbert or go with Shuck. I would prefer to roll with Shuck, but if you want to roll the dice, more power to you, brother. Chillin' Since 92 says, Merry Christmas, Andrew. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well. Full PPR. Who do I start in the flex? Michael Wilson, Bill, Ladd, McConkey, or Corum? If I'm looking at the available options you do have here, I feel like Ladd, McConkey technically in a full PPR is the most valuable. So that's the direction I go in with the flex. And then when I look at the potential of your defensive options, Saints, Giants, or Chargers, I do believe, again, the Chargers are the best option, or at least of the bunch, the one that I have the highest ranked on the screen over there once it filters through. Thank you. Sloppy sends in a question, says, any Christmas locks? I don't think anything is ever a lock, but again, I do really love the idea of going after Dak Prescott 2 touchdowns, RJ Harvey touchdown, Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown, and more on receptions for Cortland Sutton. I think the potential of going after, also additionally, Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs, RJ Harvey, Dak Prescott, Cortland Sutton. Those are the 4 that I was mentioning. Thank you. All right, JK, this is what I was asking for earlier. You just have to type your question in the chat, but I'm glad either way we were able to get to your question. Says, Merry Christmas, Andrew. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you as well, sir. Says, Superflex, Kirko, Rivers, or Josh Johnson. As of right now, I have Kirko as my number 20 quarterback. Phillip Rivers is my number 21, and Josh Johnson is genuinely my number 25. So of the 3, I do have Kirk Cousins as my number 1 option of the group. Thank you. Steve Bateman says, bench 1, London, Evans, Henderson, if he plays. We already took care of this one. Again, if Henderson plays, he plays alongside of London. Otherwise, if he's out, Evans and London are your top 2 options. Thank you. Sean Sauce Don says, Merry Christmas. I'm torn on who to start in my double flex spot. Need to. Okay, cool. Says PPR, Jacoby Myers, BTJ, Kenneth Walker, Rico Dowdle, Krosky Merritt, or TreVeyon Henderson. Look, this is very much so dependent on the TreVeyon Henderson status. If Henderson is available, he would play alongside of Jacoby Myers. In the event in which he is not available, in a full PPR, I am genuinely going to play Myers and BTJ this week. Thank you. Boyer Production sends in a question. Says, who do I start, Wan'Dale Robinson or Justin Jefferson? Baker or Caleb? As of right now, Baker is my number 13 and Caleb is my number 11. So I would play Caleb Williams there. In regards to Wan'Dale Robinson versus Justin Jefferson, I would play Justin Jefferson whichever way we go about it, regardless of scoring format. Thank you. Avram sends in a follow-up question. Avram, thank you. Says, is Javonte playable today? I mean, from everything that I have read, I don't see why not. It's an incredible matchup against that run stop effort of the Washington Commanders. So, yeah, I would think that he is primed for an incredible performance today. Incredible as in, if you want to potentially put together a play, an anytime touchdown from Javonte is very much so, in my mind, a solid play there. Tade Minasian sends in a question. Tade, thank you. Says, Steelers or Lions, I'm assuming that's what you meant, defense. Yeah, look, as of right now, I have the Steelers 1 spot ahead of the Lions, so I would play the Steelers against Shedrick Sanders there. In regards to Bill or Pollard, I believe that Pollard should be your way in which you go about this. Again, I don't really trust Bill that much, and Pollard's been on a heater of late. Jack-o'-lantern sends in a question. Says, JCM since C-Rod is out or Michael Carter? I am leaning towards JCM in that direction. Thank you. Again, the rankings on screen are displayed, and we'll designate exactly that once it filters to the running back conversation. Deering Outdoors sends in a question. Deering, thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Excuse me. It says PPR flex Javonte or risk Ramondre. Ooh, no, brother. You have to play Javonte. You cannot risk it and wait. You should just play Javonte, and then we can reconvene at the end of the week and talk about TreVeyon Henderson, whether or not he's in. But considering you have a stud of this caliber, I'm not taking the risk. I'm just playing Javonte. Says I have Kittle and Pitts, also, but we'll need to start one at tight end. Yeah. So at this point, like if Kittle gets a full participation by Friday, he starts. Otherwise, it's Kyle Pitts. But yeah, play Javonte today. Jay Will sends in a question, says, my GOAT, are we trusting Darnold? Darnold is my number 17 ranked quarterback. So technically speaking, he's just outside the top, 16. I trust him somewhat, but not all the way. Not to where I'm comfortable outright starting him over the field. Maybe in a double quarterback league, sure. Quinn sends in a question, says, pick 2 PPR, Ladd, Aaron Jones, Bill, Quorum. As of right now in a full PPR scoring format, the way at which I would go about this is currently Aaron Jones and Ladd McConkey there, Quinn. Thank you. Chris Moraga sends in a question. Chris, thank you. Half PPR, running back 2, Pacheco, Spears, Algier, Pirine. As of right now, based on my rankings in a half PPR, Samaje Pirine, I really do think, against the Arizona Cardinals, the best matchup at the position, is primed for a very solid game ahead. If you don't want to play him, next best option, I believe, is Spears. But I would personally play Samaje Perine in that case. Thank you, Chris. Happy holidays to you as well. CTC says, if you could choose only one, start Warren or Gainwell. I would choose Warren. Again, they are anticipated to be in a game script that they should be running the ball for majority of the game, if not the entirety of the game. Over the course of the last 3 weeks, the run-stop efforts of the Cleveland Browns have allowed Tennessee to go for 181 and 2 touchdowns, Chicago to go for over 120 and 2 touchdowns, and Buffalo this most recent week to go for 147 and 3 touchdowns. I would anticipate for Jaylen Warren as the primary running RB of that backfield to be quite the relevant piece as for this week between the two. But again, both will be fantasy relevant regardless. Boyer Production says, do I start the Texans or Chargers defense? I believe I would prefer to play the Texans defense there. Saints or Titans, I would prefer to play the Saints. Thank you. Daring Outdoor says, I forgot to mention already starting Dak and CeeDee Lamb. Let me get back to the context of this question. Yeah, even in that case, again, unless you have Travion Henderson, in case, like let's say, for example, if you had Travion and then you have Ramondre on roster as well, then at that point, I would just wait and see if Travion ends up playing and then just start him. Otherwise, as of right now, if you don't have Travion and Ramondre may lose his value to a very massive extent if Travion ends up playing, then I think you have to play Javonte regardless of the fact that you're stacking many Cowboys. What a great week to stack Cowboys in a fantastic matchup. We had a question that came in from Andrew, 9312, who says, Corum, Devontae Smith, or Taysom Hill? Is Corum for real? I mean, 4 consecutive weeks of absolutely balling out leads me to believe that the answer is yes. I have no other reason to believe that he isn't the real deal based on what we've witnessed of late. As it stands as of right now, looking at your available options you've mentioned, Corum, based on projections, I have him ahead of Devontae Smith and Taysom Hill. So yes, I would play Corum there. 513 Rookie sends in a question. Says standard. Without Sun God, JMO is a lock. Without Sun God. With Sun God, how do you rank Evans, JMO, London, Jennings, and Carter? The rankings are on screen. As of right now, in the event in which there is if Sun God is in the lineup, the rankings would go JMO 1, London 2, Jennings 3. Actually, no, it's a standard format. So it would go JMO 1, Jennings 2, London 3, Evans 4, Carter 5. Thank you. So JMO is my number 1 regardless of Amon-Ra being in or out. Abram sends in a follow-up question. Abram, thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Says Henry, Jacobs, or Kyron. As of right now, Henry and Kyron are my 1-2 combo there because I'm worried about Jacobs' health. But yeah, let me see the full context of your question. So you had asked, is Javonte playable? Effing-lutely, he's a playable option. Again, he's a fantastic playable option, in fact. But in the case of which you're asking Henry, Jacobs, and Kyron, I think Henry and Kyron should be your plays this week. Thank you very much, Avram. Appreciate it. Best of luck, sir. All right, guys, it is 9:57. I found a second win there in the last 30 minutes after I had an absolute mental breakdown in terms of where I lost my positioning of answering questions. But we are back, and hopefully we were able to potentially answer your question over the course of today's live stream. I'm going to go ahead and put together a play for this upcoming game here. Again, I'm going Dak Prescott, and I'm going to go Dak Prescott more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. I'm going to go with Lamb on receptions potentially here. Let's see what we have. Lamb's receptions currently sitting at 5.5. I like that number. He's had more than 6 receptions in 4 consecutive games. And then I don't mind the idea of the potential of like a kind of crazy game for Jake Ferguson here. His current number, I mean, it's an interesting one. Maybe I don't get a little too cute with it. Okay, we had a couple more questions came in. TPD says, any downside in playing the Saints defense considering playing Saints defense instead? That was the exact same question you asked. Is there any downside in playing the Saints defense? Yes. In the event in which they are the Saints defense, they will suck and it'll be a disaster. Otherwise, they could end up showing up and showing out against Cam Ward. Brett sends in a question, says, half PPR, JSN, JMO, AJ Brown, flex the third, or Corum. I have Kyron. No, I would play JSN, JMO, and AJ Brown 100% over Corum. Thank you. Okay, I need to put this play in right now. So these are 2 options. Can I get like maybe Terry McLaurin on receptions? I don't mind the potential of that. Let's see here. Where's Terry? Terry McLaurin, 4 receptions. I'm going to take Terry McLaurin on more than 3.5 receptions. Oh man. Okay. Hold up. Wait. I can't do that actually. Maybe I take them on yardage. Is that going to be a problem? No, it's not. Okay. So basically, yeah. 3x. Lamb more than 5.5 receptions. Terry more than 51.5 receiving yards. And Dak Prescott more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. It's a 3x multiplier. I'm just going to put 10 on it. Just make it easy. Okay, let me see here. TPD, I don't know what the other alternative option you were mentioning is, but if they are ranked in my top rankings here on screen, then hopefully that is an available play for you. In regards to Andrew Catan's question, Strange or Loveland, I would go with Brett and Strange there. TPD says, sorry, I meant the Lions. I would play the Lions there. Genuinely. I think that is the better play. Over the course of this week, with all the injuries and the designations that have been let out to the public, I do believe that the Vikings are going to be in a lot of trouble today. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. I am going to sleep. That is exactly where I am going. I will be back tomorrow with quarterback and tight end fuller discussions. And of course, a Saturday live stream prior to the Chargers taking on the Texans. I appreciate y'all. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully, again, you guys have set your lineups and are good to go. If you're not, again, I have posted my rankings in a full capacity via Patreon, like I have, let you all know before. Again, they're available there if you guys want to check that out. Again, signing up will get you the access there, and of course, you'll be able to get the access if you also additionally play for Week 18. I'll be making content then. I appreciate y'all. It's 10 a.m. I'm just heading out. I'm not even playing the outro music. I'm just ending the stream. I love y'all. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the day. And until tomorrow. Actually, never mind. There was another question sent in here. Boyer Production says, Texans or Saints defense and why? Texans has to be the play. Why? Because, again, I don't really trust the Saints outright blindly. I love the Saints because of the matchup. But ultimately, I would rather play the better pass rush against an offensive line in the Chargers that are in a disastrous position. So that's primarily why I go about that way. And the Texans have just been a reliable option all season long, so I'm kind of just hanging my hat on them carrying my team. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all. That'll be it for me. Until next time, again, that is it. It's kind of weird. Usually I have the outro music, so in this case, I'm just going to roll the outro music. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys. Peace.